Hello everyone, the Nerdy Steve here, and today we will be featuring a Black-Red Best of One Explorer deck. A link is in the description below. I previously have done this deck on the channel before, but it was requested and people seemed to like it, and so I'm gonna do more of it. This is a very kind of like straightforward strategy. It is a sacrifice deck, so we are going to be using Mayhem Devil to deal a lot of damage to our opponents and our opponents' creatures. That's kind of how we want to control the board. But in the meantime, we have Shambling Ghast, Unlucky Witness as sacrifice fodder to either ramp us or to draw us more cards, or in Shambling Ghast to maybe deal with some annoying creatures we can kill. We also use those creatures to feed our Priest of Forgotten Realms, which can kill an opponent's creature while drawing us stuff in the meantime. Fable of the Mirror Breaker and Woe Strider give us creatures and more sacrifice fodder and things to do with our creatures. And then we also have the Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven lock or combo, which we sacrifice the Cauldron Familiar for Witch's Oven and over again, which can ping our opponent with the Cauldron Familiar's Enter the Battlefield ability. And if we have a Mayhem Devil out, we're just dealing so much damage every single time we cycle through that. That's the basic idea of the deck, so let's go and play it. And also, this is the historic nerfed version. We are doing Explorer, so Cauldron Familiar is much better than that. So, let's go. Okay, Lynn. So, we have Unlucky Witness on turn 1, and then we can Deadly Dispute it if we want. We have our mana. If our opponent is an aggressive strategy, which we're hoping for, we can also Claim the Firstborn. Something they do, and then Deadly Dispute. Our opponent is probably on mono blue Flash or Spirits or what have you, and that's fairly decent for us. I think it's a good matchup. We'll see. And the reason why it's good is a lot of our things are very cheap. So a lot of our opponents' counter magic, like Spell Pierce or all those other similar cards, they have little less opportunity to counter our things. They can counter it eventually, or sometimes, but it's much harder. If we can resolve a Mayhem Devil, that's kind of what we really want to do. So I'm gonna Priest here, and it would be wonderful if our opponent used both, like, mana to counter it. Maybe with an Essence Capture, and then we can do the Mountain and claim the Rattle Chains and sacrifice it to Witch's Oven. That would ideally be something that happens. But who knows? Alright, and that is what happened. So now we get to do this, which is wonderful. Because one of the ways our opponent can win is if... Oh, maybe we should have done that pre-combat, actually. I didn't even think of that. So we get an attack in? Oh, that was probably a mistake. But one of the ways we lose is if our opponent keeps on drawing cards with the Curious Obsession and can protect it, and that way we're never able to really force our opponent's hand. Again, this is still, we're waiting to try and resolve the Mayhem Devil. We want to try and do it when we have a couple, like maybe 2 mana. Then we can pay for a lot of things. But this is an interesting position. Our opponent... What could our opponent have? Our opponent could have more Curious Obsession in hand. Probably, I don't know. Spectral Sailor kind of gets blanked by Ghast, so maybe that's why our opponent didn't cast anything. Brazen Borrower is not particularly good here. There are a lot of just not great cards for our opponent. We'll do this and make them do some type of interaction. Again, we're holding the Mayhem Devil because if we can get it to resolve, it's just so good for us. It makes it almost impossible for your opponent to win. One of the things about playing certain decks in certain matchups, there are some cards that the entire game revolves around, and if it resolves, you just win. And Mayhem Devil's kind of that. In a lot of matchups it is, but in this matchup it particularly is, and that concept is really, really important because your opponent actually has counter magic. A lot of decks have removal, right? So if the Mayhem Devil can resolve or enters the battlefield, they can still kill it. But here you really have to pick your spot and try to figure out when and how to counter it or get it to resolve. And your opponent is also going, oh, do I save my counter spell? Do I tap out? Because I will lose to a resolved Mayhem Devil. So that's what our opponent is literally like playing as if, okay, the Nerdy Steve has Mayhem Devil. How do I not lose to it? The thing is, then we as that player have to be like, okay, if they're playing around Mayhem Devil, how do we make them lose to it? Even if we're not casting it, right? So that's why we Woe Strider and we're pressuring their life total and their counter magic and their mana. So let's attack with everything. So if our opponent blocks the Ghast, we can then give it -1/-1. Or use Woe Strider. So what we're going to do here is, again, try and pressure our opponent's counter magic. We're going to go for Shambling Ghast here. If Ghast resolves, we sacrifice it to Woe Strider to kill the Illuminator. And our opponent won't want that. Our opponent decided, I'm not going to tap out to counter that, because then you get to resolve a Mayhem Devil. So we go for this kill. And then we'll see what happens. We're going to put that at the bottom because we still have a Deadly Dispute that we're, like, trying to figure out when we want to cast it. And now, oh, a Brazen Borrower. So we can try and counter it or let it resolve. I don't hate Deadly Disputing it. It keeps the Brazen Borrower out. We get to draw our cards and stuff. And we still have the Woe Strider to cast. And we finally got the Deadly Dispute out of our hands, so I think that's kind of fine. Now let's see what our opponent does here. So So now I could do this, but I don't want to because, don't want to get a counter to a counter spell unless they pay 1. And that's fine. We also want to notice our opponent's at 10 life. That is not a lot of life to be at. Let's discard these 2. Let's see what our opponent does here. And now we're gonna ooh, okay.
Anyone need a match?
I was like, we'll probably cast the Mayhem Devil, but I don't think we need to now. We're just at such a great spot. Yeah, just pressuring the opponent here, and then next turn we can force the Mayhem Devil. But there isn't one, so GG. This hand looks really fantastic. We have our combo of Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven. We have Claim and Cauldron against aggro decks, and then we also can cast our Shambling Ghast. We're very, very happy here. I'm going to Cauldron Familiar out. This is always a very risky play, because if our opponent has different types of exile damage effects, then we can't Witch's Oven loop already. Like, we lose that opportunity. Witch's Oven is much safer, because then once you have the cat, you can sacrifice it. But I am a very aggressive player when it comes to my cat oven, and I don't mind doing this. The majority of the time, most people probably would Witch's Oven, though. There. But I think the 1 damage that you get from this and then the attack is worth the risk. Not everyone agrees. I think we like to see a Plains. Hopefully our opponent is on humans or something like that. Humans, Claim the Firstborn is so wonderful against, because it's a 1 damage removal spell or it's a 1 mana removal spell, and it deals damage to your opponent. It does so much. Our opponent, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Well, you know what? I'll keep that there, just because I think I talked somewhat decently. So, we'll just take that as a little more deck tech. On to the next game. Okay. So this is pretty wonderful. We have a turn to Priest of Forgotten Gods into Chandra. If our opponent doesn't kill the gods here, we're in a really good spot. But if they are mono red, they probably have Stomp here, and that's not fantastic for us. But what are you gonna do, right? If they don't have Stomp, we're in a really wonderful spot. Okay. Don't have Stomp. Don't have Stomp. Okay. I'm fine with that.
Anyone need a fire started? No? Go get him, but hey, these little guys are great.
There we go. Look how wonderful this is. Opponent loses the creature, loses 2 life, and then we get to Cauldron Familiar, which can block. And to make sure we get to do it again. And then we have a lot more mana to deal with. I think I want to do this,
I'm meditating
just because 2 damage is a lot less safe than 3, I think.
Don't worry. Say hi to my fiery friends.
Oh, wait. I guess we can attack first. Deal 2. Then we can sack. 1, 2. Oh, they're keeping the rabbit battery. And then we get to double spell with Woe Strider and Fable. How amazing is this? Torbran? Okay. Sadly, I don't think Torbran is gonna be good enough here. Alright, I think we can get rid of both of these lands. GG. Okay. Well... So, you know how I said I normally play Cauldron Familiar out first? Well, I'm not gonna do that here, because we know our opponent's mono red, so that increases the risk of them having exile effects. But also because we only have the Cauldron Familiar and no other creature really to sacrifice, we do have the Priest. We want to get this going as soon as possible. So we want to ensure that it stays alive. But also because we have multiple, you know, ovens. We just want to make sure we can just do it as much as we can. And so the risk for playing out Cauldron Familiar without an oven is very, very, very high. Oh, wow. This is a game, if we draw Mayhem Devil here, we basically win. So 1 time, please. Nope. So, if we can survive until next turn, and our priest lives, we do get to Takenuma, or play Takenuma and keep the Sokenzan to flash in 2 creatures that we can then sack to the priest, which is gonna be really good. Because we get a lot of blockers. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Because I think we also can't afford to do anything else. I don't think we can chump here. Yeah, not with... Wow. If our opponent has Ember Cleave, we're not happy. But what are the odds our opponent has Ember Cleave in the mono red deck? Ooh. That's actually I mean, again, our opponent could have a lot of things here, but it's surprisingly relevant because we actually get to eat a creature here. Our opponent is probably going to sacrifice it to the priest, but it's going to die anyway. Oh, wow. I think we do that. I think our opponent maybe could have Bone Crushed in response to our Sokenzan. Imagine if we had another card. So what we're actually going to do here is try and use First Strike to our advantage here so that our cat dies and we get to bring it back. Oh no, it won't happen because of Etching of Kamano actually makes it so our cat can't... When our cat dies to First Strike damage, it goes away forever. Let me just do my math here. 4, 5, 8. Alright, we're at 1. That game? Oh, wow. GG. Interesting. So we have turn 1 Shambling Ghast, and we can Deadly Dispute, hopefully to find more mana or cards. We do have Mayhem Devil. Ooh, not sure what's going on here. Control could potentially be bad. Are they Phoenix? Or are they Esper? They're Mill? Confused a little bit. They could be some type of reanimator, which... without knowing many things, could be very bad for us. They might be Esper Parhelion, but that's just a lot of mill. I have no idea what's going on. 3, 4... Here, let's Chandra here. If Chandra can resolve, okay.
Brag, but I'm totally the best pyromancy student. Hey, don't worry. I brought company.
A resolved Chandra deals a lot of damage very, very quickly. Still have no idea what's going on. I don't even know if I'm worried. Alright, so there is the no Parhelion yet. Okay. Can't stay away. Hmm. Yeah, if we do this...
Say hi to my fiery friends.
Opponent's at 7. I'm assuming just no Parhelion. Okay, GG. You know what? If you're quick enough, sometimes the combo deck does not get their pieces. Alright, Lord Thanos. We get to... I wanna... Interesting. I want to... Do we want to gas turn 1? I guess. Because now we can't Unlucky Witness here. But maybe it just doesn't matter. Alright, so it looks like our opponent is a similar deck. But we don't have a third land. Blood Tithe Harvester? Okay. Tapped. Yeah. Now, they probably also have Mayhem Devil in their deck. And we don't really have a way to deal with it. So we need to get a Woe Strider out. Then our own Mayhem Devil. Maybe, discard that. Our opponent will get 2 food. Let's attack with everything. See what happens here. I also guess, technically, the Blood Tithe Harvester cannot kill Mayhem Devil yet. Because there needs to be another blood, but I'm not buying it. Okay. How unfortunate. Okay. No blocks. So, if we cast our Mayhem Devil, it's not particularly great because our opponent could have any amount of things that will make our Mayhem Devil worse than theirs. If there's another blood token, it gets to kill Mayhem Devil before our opponent does anything. So interesting. Because giving us a treasure here is so good. Because it allows us to have that one... allows us to have a surprise 1 damage. Like, now if our opponent does 2 things, we can then kill their devil, where before, like, it's hard to make sure we can do that. And if we didn't have the treasure, our opponent could, you know, sacrifice another thing. Like, our opponent could ping our stuff, our creatures, and let us go down on creatures while we can't really do anything. Except ping the Mayhem Devil. That's why getting rid of that Harvester was so good for us. Yeah, because now we get to kill the devil. And see how much easier this turn would be if we didn't have the treasure, right? And that's fine. Now, what isn't fine is our opponent does have Kroxa coming out. So... I think we just want the oven. Let's see what's happening here. Huh. We'll do that, because if our opponent goes for Kroxa, we can discard the Blood Crypt. We drain for a couple. Oni Cult, okay. And we do have a castle going on. Okay, that's, I mean, fine, quote unquote. My opponent has a lot of food. Alright. We don't know. Our opponent's also kind of drawing off the top of the deck. We have a lot of stuff going on. Our opponent can escape the Proxa. Yeah, and the Oni Cult actually does some interesting work here. Okay, Chandra. That is decent. Yeah, no, that's okay. My opponent's gonna sack it. And I think we just do it to get an extra food. And now our opponent will Croxa. Yep. So we have a lot of blockers. We really kind of want Claim, maybe. Opponent's gaining a lot of life, though. What do we want? I would like more Witch's Ovens, would be nice. Hmm. Let's do a Chandra. Then we can Deadly Dispute a token. And see what's going on here. Let's claim it. Our opponent's gonna sacrifice it to Witch's Oven in response. I think I want to trade there. Then we do this, and we Woe Strider. We have to, let's get rid of, we want to keep Claim. Let's get rid of Blood Crypt. That. Mayhem Devil and a Ghast. Because we want our Cauldron Familiar, maybe another Woe Strider. And the disputes. Because we can recast stuff with Chandra. And we did it. So, I'll take that. GG. Well, everyone, it normally doesn't go that well, but that went well. So thank you for watching me play some best of one Rakdos in... What is the format? Explore and Explore. The deck is great. It's fantastic. It is quick. It is good. I love Cat Oven. I love Mayhem Devil. I love all of the really, really. It gets a lot of hate, but there are a lot of very intricate decisions, and there is a lot of planning from turn one, which I think that type of stuff really appeals to me as a player because I feel like there's a lot more agency and I get to make a lot more active decisions. The deck draws very well and it can churn through cards. And so a lot of the games feel like you win or lose because of how you played, not necessarily, you know, how what you did or didn't draw. And I just really like decks that do that. So I recommend it. This deck is powerful. And yeah, but I'm also a cat oven lover. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit biased. But with all that being said, if you haven't already, you should totally hit that like, sub button, comment. You can watch me stream live at twitch.tv/thenerdysteve. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are. And thanks for watching. Bye.